All right, hey guys, welcome back to another one. So in this one, we will be covering the Zandvoort GP. This was like the first race after the summer break, and it was also a sprint weekend. Second last sprint weekend. We have left like we have got one more sprint weekend, and that's all the sprints we'll have this season. And the summer break is now over, so the races will be more frequent from now on. Although we do get like a week's break from and then we'll have the next race. But yeah, uh, anyways, let's talk about this one. So did I enjoy this weekend? I mean, most of it not really. So I'll get into why as well. So like we start with the practice session. Nothing much happened. A few cars spun out, and went into gravel. Carlos, I guess, Lewis also went off track. So yeah, there were quite a few cars. It was nothing extraordinary. After that, we got like the sprint qualifying on Friday as well, and Lando was looking great. So was George. George just got engaged, so he was on like a high kind of thing. Performing a lot better and having more fun at the interviews. It seemed like, and Kimi was there, but he wasn't that quick. Charles was in the fighting. Max was like fifth or sixth like that, and uh, when Max re-signed with Red Bull for like 4 more years, I thought like, all right, either they have cooked with the car or they have like some really good plans for the future. This race will be it. We'll see Red Bull being competitive. Nothing like that happened. Isaac got a wrist injury. Liam got promoted to Red Bull. Yuki, raced in the Racing Bulls. It was his first race this season, and I think things will go back to how they were in the next race. And yeah, Yuki had a decent week. He was there. He outperformed Arvid in the race, and well, in the sprint, they both were out of points, but like Yuki stayed within like a few seconds. So yeah, he did well, Yuki, but I don't think he will be, driving permanently for Racing Bulls because Liam has had a great season so far, and even in the Red Bull, he was seventh and he scored points. And we all know what happened to Max. So yeah, and well, there were a lot of upgrades for Aston Martin as well, and Alonso came P9. Let's go. Alonso is doing quite well, since the car has had the upgrades. I mean, I don't think it's uh, amongst the top five cars. There was definitely some luck there, but Fernando has been, a really greatly exceptional driver. He even scored a point in like I don't know few races ago. I'm forgetting which race it was, but yeah. So Alonso was in the points. That was well. So yeah. Well, basically, my complaint was that nothing really happened in the sprint, nor really the qualifying. It was like it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. It didn't rain, and there were barely any overtakes. As far as I can remember, there was one overtake in the front where Charles overtook Lando, and that was all the action we got in the sprint. There were some back markers or some battle going on in the midfield. You see that on the small screen. That happened, but nothing really of impact, I would say. And so was the qualifying as well. It looked like it was gonna rain, but it didn't. And then the last flying laps, everyone just were in a hurry, so that they could put in their lap before the rain started. The rain never started. So it just felt like a bunch of nothing. Things just felt like it's building up, but nothing really happened. But then comes the race. So it had just rained before the race, so they had like one lap of safety car and then they would go on racing. But they had some, I think, issue with green flagging a few cars, so they had to do another lap. And from the get go, it was like things were not right. And after like second lap, Max spun out, he crashed, and this was the last Sandwood GP that we'll see in the foreseeable future. It's not in the calendar next year. It was Max home race, and there were a lot of people supporting him, and him going out on the first or second lap. It's really disheartening, and I think he was sick as well. So yeah, just not a great thing to see, especially in a home race. And Gabby also spun out, but he somehow managed to survive. And by the way, there was like some crazy reflex from Nico. He could have like T-boned Gabby and it was done for him. Like it was a split second thing, and yeah, that was great. But other than that, we raced like 30 laps with nothing happening. There were barely any overtakes. The only fight we got was among the midfielders, Gasly and the Racing Bulls. That's what we got to see. Behrman had some issues with his car, so he had to retire as well. Lance also got a DNF. I think Ocon had some issues around the last few laps, but yeah, we'll get there. So yeah, first half of the race, nothing really happened. It was basically who would, pit first and stuff like that. So it just kept going on for an hour. But after that, like suddenly it got so interesting. Like there was beef between Hamilton, and he was like raging on the team radio. So this was a race where you think there could have been a lot of stuff, what could have been kind of race if Max didn't spin out, if the Ferraris qualified a bit better, if Charles stayed out for, to get the better offset on the tires, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, what could have happened, who knows? But yeah, it was fun. Basically, Charles had to pit early, so Hamilton could get his tires pitted as well, and he had to overtake him. And I feel like the team radio didn't want to say that let Hamilton through, so they pitted him, and yeah, that was the whole thing. Then with Russell, oh my god, towards the ending where uh, Ocon had some issues and they got a yellow flag. So Hamilton got a cheap pit stop, so did Kimi, and Russell at this point was like, if Kimi is not in the race, shall we play the team game? And by the way, Russell is like at 15, 20 laps old tires, 15, 20 laps old hards. There are like 10 laps left. Kimi has just pitted on new softs. And he's saying that if he's not in the race, crazy work. And a few laps later, the team radio messaged him that let Kimi through. And then he didn't wanted to play the team game. He was like, is he really fighting for P1 here? Do I have to? That kind of thing. But he did let him pass. And, some exceptional defense from Russell as well. But then again, the safety car, it really, kind of spoiled it because Hamilton was catching up to Russell and Charles was catching up to Hamilton. So we could have gotten, some really interesting fights, but, the yellow flag, VSC, whatever, that happened for like a lap or like half of it. They, fell back a little, the momentum was gone, and they had like 2 laps to race for. So yeah, they tried, but George got on the podium, so did Kimi P2. Lando, by the way, Lando did really well, McLaren looks like they are back at it, he had one more sprint, I guess the last sprint he won, and then he had been out qualifying his teammate Oscar, and even in this race he was on the podium, and he qualified P1, he finished P1. He was, overtaken by Kimi, but there were so many team fuck ups going on, and the pitting, oh my god, like 90% of the pit stop were over 3 seconds, which is crazy because, like, what? And this kind of helped Russell as well. Oscar took like 4 seconds to pit, and Russell got a 3 second pit stop, so he came out ahead where he would have to fight for that position. But yeah, talking about Oscar had a bad weekend, I guess. He was just not there, And when your teammate is like, getting P1 and he was at like P6, it's kind of disheartening. But then again, I guess tough luck for Oscar. The Ferraris fought well. So did the Mercedes team orders. That was fun. But we still have to see a good Mercedes battle after like the first one or two races. We have not seen that happen, and we didn't see it happen this race either. But yeah, we'll see what happens, how it goes. Um, Gasly had an upgrade, but Colapinto didn't. It was like Racing Bulls that one car gets an upgrade this race and the other one will get the upgrade in another. So Gasly had the upgrade and Colapinto didn't, but he still did well in the qualifying. I guess he was, quite on par with him with Gasly, but yeah, he didn't out qualify him. Talking about Audi, so yeah, Bortoleto started well. He was, I think, P9 or something like that, but due to that spin, he went down to P17 or 18. From there, he had to climb his way back, but yeah, it was a tough race for him as well. Nico, as I said, he was doing quite well this race. He overtook like a few cars as well. I think the midfield battle, which carried like the earlier parts of the race, that was fun. I feel like Cadillac, they are like, I don't think what they are doing, or, if they are bringing any upgrades, because it does not look like it's working. They have like brake issues every other race, and then some sort of thing keeps happening. So yeah, they were on the bottom half of the table, and Aston Martin, as I said, Alonso did quite well. Lance was there, but he didn't really do that much. We'll see what happens with Aston Martin. I feel like they are, getting better. Maybe by the end of the season, we can see them more competitive, but who knows? Other than that, I feel like I should cover a bit of the, signing things, because like three or four drivers re-signed with their teams. So Carlos signed a multi-year deal with Williams, whereas Alex had a one-year deal, I guess, with Williams. So they are staying. So is Max. Max had like a contract till 2030. Um, Mercedes has announced their drivers. It's gonna be Kimi and Russell next year as well. So yeah, that's that. I think that's all that happened in the break. The break was, kind of quiet. There were not much rumors or stuff like that. Most of the teams, or at least how it felt like, was waiting for, Max to sign with another team, and that would shake things up. But that didn't happen. So most of the drivers are staying where they were. Um, yeah. Now let's talk about the championship battle. So now, George and Lewis are, tied. Like they both have equal amounts of point, and it will be interesting to see how it goes, because from what I heard on the team radios, it feels like Lewis thinks he's quite in the battle and he does not want to give up just yet. He has like 50 points, deficit or something like that. So yeah, I feel like Ferraris are really trying to compete with the Mercedes, and Charles is at fourth position, I guess, behind Lando, and Max is at sixth. Oscar is at seventh position. So yeah, it's interesting to see what will happen next, because suddenly McLaren looks like they are back in it as well. But to be honest, if they wouldn't have had those reliability issues at the beginning of the season, they were in it, and I feel like they understand the car a lot better now. So yeah, let's see what happens there. I feel like Mercedes are not bringing their upgrade, so the advantage they had at the beginning of the season, like they almost they were almost lapping every other team, maybe except Ferraris. So yeah, that kind of gap is now starting to diminish. In this race, they didn't feel like they were so superior that they could just like swiftly past those cars. They had to fight for position against Ferraris, against McLaren. So Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like the competition is getting tough now. Let's see how it goes, because now Lando is being asked questions about, are you thinking about making the comeback like Max did? Is that going to happen? And obviously, as every driver says, that one race at a time. But I feel like he's trying to create an opportunity for himself as well. So the competition has gotten intense. The next race is like Kimi's home race. So yeah, we have got a week till that happens. So we'll see how it goes. I think I have covered most of the stuff that happened this weekend. There wasn't really much to talk about the sprint and the qualifying, but the last part of the race, that was amazing. That was the best part of it. We got really some good action, between the Ferraris and the Mercedes and the team radios as well. Yeah, I forgot that George caught a stray from Max as well in the qualifying session, I guess, about an unsafe release. So yeah, that I was missing, but I don't feel like there is more stuff left. Uh, Let me know if I missed anything. What are your thoughts on this race? And thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.